The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Well, it's epic, ladies and gentlemen. William Binney is here with us right now, former technical director of the National Security Agency, just exposing mass crime and a criminal conspiracy of arrogance and fraud that destroys our national security, destroys our children's futures, and is openly used to just rape our basic liberties. Brian, in Florida, you're on the air with William Binney. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Binney. I have a question. Basically, I'm a retired CT from the Navy, so you probably know what they are.
Yep.
But the way I look at everything, there is probably no way 100% you could ever secure your information. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much correct, yeah. The way things stand right now, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. While other callers come on, and then God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And,
Go ahead, caller. Sorry. Go ahead. You going to say something else?
no, sir.
Okay, Brian, thank you so much. William, isn't it surreal to know we really became, when it comes to surveillance, 1,000 light years ahead of 1984?
Yes, and in fact, I would only quote Wolfgang Schmidt, a former lieutenant colonel in the East German Stasi. When he was talking about the NSA spying data, he said to us, meaning the Stasi, to us, this would have been a dream come true.
Because they had to work really hard to get what they got.
They had hundreds of thousands of files on everybody in East Germany. It was handwritten files, so it was less efficient, less up-to-date, less consolidated, less interactive, you couldn't query it like you can today with the electronic stuff. That's why he said this is a dream come true. That's why the former KGB, now the FSB in Germany, and the Soviet Union, or the Russia now, is adopting all these procedures. They're picking up on this too. It's the way to do it.
We are the world leader in evil.
Yes. I mean, they started the kind of spying on their own populations, and now we have adopted that procedure and gone N degrees further.
Yeah, when I first heard this 15 years ago, I didn't believe it, but they actually hired Marcus Wolf, the former head of the Stasi, as a consultant, and they're setting up the HUMET, Homeland Security InfraGard squads, and basically setting up on-the-ground intelligence as well, and it's all political. Man, this country's in trouble. Woo!
Yes. Yes, we are. Yeah.
Man, I mean, it's like we've got like stage 4 tyranny cancer.
Well, that's why I called it the greatest threat to our democracy since our Civil War. It is.
I mean, this is unbelievable. John in Georgia, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, Alex. What I'd like to ask is these programs, the only way that I can see them being operational would be using people's taxes. And why is it there's someone calling for a repeal of, is it the 15th Amendment or the 16th Amendment, to try to cut off the head of the snake, so to speak, so they can't get the funding?
Sure. When the government's gone rogue, it does get to the point of saying we better not pay our taxes. The problem is they'll just issue more bonds to themselves. That's why they're so arrogant. It's reached cuckoo level where they have disconnected from reality, in my view. William?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, they would just take more debt on, and that's put back on the people anyway. So I don't think it can stop in that way. You have to get laws passed that will in Congress that's supposed to control the purse to cut the spending.
Sure. And when it comes to taxes, if you're going bankrupt because of onerous taxes and you're a hardworking guy and you can't feed yourself, you know, I mean, I wouldn't pay them. And I'm not telling you don't pay them because like the mob, they'll break your legs. But, you know, this system's getting so bad that you can't blame it. I mean, thank you so much, caller. God bless you. William Binney, what about the issue of having a lawless government? Won't that encourage everybody else to become lawless?
Well, I know there's, I mean, I'm hearing from my brother and others in Virginia where they're thinking, geez, this looks like we need another revolution. I wouldn't advocate it. I think we have ways and means of doing it right now, but it's putting pressure on. I mean, if we have to fire everyone that's in Washington. We just have to fire them all, get rid of them, because I was even recommending a new, having our Article 5 convention to set up a new way of electing people. That's by randomly picking from the phone book. We certainly can't do any worse than what we've got now.
William Binney, this is incredible. I'm going to talk to you in the break and see if you want to do this. I have to go to a meeting. We're going to get together tonight again. I would like you're a very competent person. You'll hear the music, it'll fade in, fade out. I would like to just let you sit here and have the floor, give a 10-minute speech, and end it that way. I can say William Binney hosted my show. We're going to come back and do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw of free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
The experts are clear. Sunlight, purified water, healthy non-GMO food, and having a good attitude is essential to a healthy immune system. But I go further with Super Nascent Iodine X2 from InfoWarsLife.com. 50% stronger than our original and revolutionary Nascent Iodine formula, coming from a deep earth crystal source that no other supplier has. Most other forms of iodine come from seaweed in areas plagued by Fukushima and other contaminants. Not our iodine. It comes from over 200 million-year-old crystal salt deposits and is tested and proven to be completely pure. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. See the informational videos. Read the information they're compiled. And for a limited time, when you use promo code NOW at checkout, you get an additional 5% off the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com products. Secure your Survival Shield X2 today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market. The gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
This is Bill Binney sitting in for Alex Jones. He's given me a segment here to state my concerns about to you, the American public, of what I feel we need to do in terms of combating and changing the course that our government's taken. And from the arguments the government puts forward, they say they're doing this for security of the people of the United States, and they're doing it for terrorism to try to prevent it. And you have to give up your security, your privacy, for them to be able to do that. And that's just an outright lie, first of all. And secondly, what's really happening by taking in this bulk data, it's really overburdening their analysts in the NSA, CIA, all over the world. And so they can't really stop these events of terrorism, like the bombings in Boston or the shooting in Paris or in Copenhagen or the Fort Hood shooter or any of that, because their analysts are so burdened with data. They use a dictionary select type approach, which is fundamentally a Google approach. That means that when they do their daily polls, they use their dictionary select, and they get like a Google return. Well, that's hundreds of thousands or even 1 million returns. No analyst could make it through all that data in any day, and the next day they get an equivalent amount. So that means they're making themselves totally dysfunctional. And that's just not true for NSA. That's also true in GCHQ and around the world, because all these governments are adopting the same procedures. Instead of taking a focused approach, which would make a rich environment of content to be able to manage and analyze, so that would make them successful. So fundamentally, they're exposing people to more risk. They're not actually protecting you. They're making it more risky for you. You're losing security because of this procedure they've adopted. So the point is, from my perspective, I keep arguing, and the other NSA whistleblowers and I have made suggestions on how to do this to the government, but the president has not adopted those techniques, and nor have any of the intelligence agencies, simply because there is too much money in this process of doing bulk acquisition of data. That's their motive, to get to keep having the money flow and keep that going. So there's changing that particular procedure is rather difficult even within government, because this money comes out and goes to corporations that are in the constituent areas of the representatives and senators. So they have a vested interest in also keeping this going. So the only way to do it is to raise up as a public. We have to start standing up as Americans. Americans aren't supposed to sit back and let things happen and let government do what it does. We're supposed to be out there challenging. We have to be participating in our democracy and republic. We cannot sit by and let these things happen and be quiet. If we do, we're going to get this totalitarian state that we're sliding toward right now. I mean, so that's really the basic issue that I have to convey to you, that you need to stand up. Now, how could you do that? You can't sit there and say you don't have any power. You really do have power, and the power is to talk to your analysts or to your representatives and senators and complain to them and make sure that this is a major concern to you. And when they come around to give you town meetings and talk to you and to get your vote, stand up and address them and make them publicly come out with a statement of their position on this issue. If you don't, I mean, they're going to continue doing what they are doing right now. They simply say they're assuming, because now if you're not complaining, they're assuming that you're okay with everything they do, or they feel they can do anything and the country will accept it. And as long as they keep saying things and not telling the truth and exposing what's really going on, they can keep you in the dark, and you'll never know. So that's why you have to get up, stand up, challenge them. I mean, after all, they're even addressing the free press we're supposed to have, like with Jim Risen and Jim Rosen and the AP and various other reporting journalists, investigative journalists. They're shutting down their sources of information and keeping them quiet. Well, that's destroying a free press. So the free press is supposed to be interrogating the government to see what they're doing so they can inform the public what the government is after and what they're really doing. Well, that's falling totally apart. I mean, look at Jim Rosen. In his case, they had him under subpoena for any number of years, trying to get him to tell the source of his information in the books and things he's published. Well, under the press rules, he had the right to keep the sources confidential. So they're attempting to destroy a free press, which is the next step in going to a totalitarian state. So if we don't stand up, Americans, we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose the process that we hold dear, that at least the republic I've had when I grew up, and that my father and his father before him had. I mean, we're going to lose it because we cannot trust the government and what they're saying. They, in fact, have been deliberately keeping us in the dark as to what's going on, and keeping a lot of Congress in the dark too. So by doing this complaining to the Congress, you have at least an opportunity to change the process and the sequence of things and where it's headed. Short of that, I mean, you have to fire everybody in Congress. That's the only way to get rid of. You have to get rid of the bums, because they're not living up to their oath of office, which is to protect and defend the Constitution. The president, of course, has the additional responsibility under his oath of office to preserve the Constitution. He has to preserve, protect, and defend. The others, like when I was in government, I had to protect and defend the Constitution. That's why I felt that what I was doing was consistent with my oath of office, also consistent with being a citizen of the United States, of actively getting and participating in this democracy that we have, is getting up there and standing up and defending that Constitution, at least trying to protect it and defend it. That's something that our representatives in Washington are not doing, and that's something we have to call them on. We have to make sure as the citizens that we stand up and say, look, you're in office and we voted you there, and your oath of office is to do this to protect our rights, and you're not doing that. And put them on the spot publicly. This is the only way to do it. Sunlight is the only cure, and that's why Edward Snowden has really performed a huge public service by exposing this these programs that have been in place and put in place since 9/11 to spy on everybody in the United States and accumulate information on everybody. It's one thing for companies to do it, which I also